So welcome to the part 2 of Economics 2015. In the earlier part, in that part, you'll be asked to choose one of those questions. You remember the one on cost and the one on taxation. So you have to pick any of those questions. But in this particular part, you have been given an instruction to answer some questions. So in this part, we'll be looking at some of those questions, and also we will now do the remaining question on the follow-up platform. So the first question is, what is trade union? Then the big part of the question is outline the functions of trade union, and also outline any two weapons used by trade unions to achieve their objectives. Outline any two weapons used by trade unions to achieve their objectives. Now, the first thing you need to know is, what is trade union? Now, from this you can see that trade unions are organizations of workers that seek through collective bargaining with employers to protect and improve the real income of their members. Provide job security, protect workers against unfair dismissal, and provide a range of other work-related services, including support for people claiming compensation for injuries sustained in a job. Now, you need to know that trade union is different from chambers of commerce. But now, what are the examples of trade union, or what are those examples of trade unions we have in Nigeria? Examples include NUT, that's National Union of Teachers, Nigerian Union of Teachers. We also have WASSCE, that's Academic Staff Union of Universities, and every other bodies you can think of. So their major aim is that they organize. You can also say that they are organized association of individuals, workers, professions from the same line of trade, business, or profession, with the motive of furthering the interest of their members. You can also say again that they are organized association of individuals, workers, professionals from the same line of trade, business, profession, with the motive of furthering the interest of their members. So having known that now you've known that the examples of trade union in Nigeria is ASU, NUT, and the likes. Now you need to note that there's a difference between chambers of commerce than trade union. Now the difference is simple. In chambers of commerce consist of people from different line of business, while in trade union they are from the same profession, business, or anything you think of. So they are from the same profession, they are workers of the same production. So that answers the first part. Note that in this part, though it is what is, so you are expected to write on what you know, just like I've explained to you right now. So the next question is, what functions of trade unions? So what are the functions of trade unions? Now, like I've listed here, I expect in your exam to say something about them, even if they are brief. Just make sure you are concise and those points nailed whatever thing the examiner is asking you. So the first one is, what are the functions of trade union? The question actually picked 4, so I'm giving you 5 so that you can have options. Many times it's always within 5, 6, so you can always read more to know what the functions of trade union are. The first one is they educate members. It is a duty and responsibility of every trade union to educate their members. They educate them politically, they educate them in areas they think they need to grow, so that they can meet up the target of the union. The next one is they promote the interest of their members. They promote, this is not D, this should be D. This is not D, this should be D. They promote the interest of their members. And that is, how do they promote the interest of their members? One thing you need to know about trade union is that whenever things arise, their intention is to influence whoever is making the decision, not to overtake power, but to influence. So we can say they are part of the pressure groups. Now, the intention of pressure groups, the difference between a pressure group and political party is that a political party is seeking political power, while a pressure group is seeking to influence whatever decision that is being made. So, by promoting their members' interests, it simply means that they want to ensure that whatever their members have as an interest is being fulfilled, either from the government or from the place of their works that they are working, and so that they can get their reward. Then also, the next one, they regulate relations between workers and what the employers. They regulate relationships between workers and members. That is, when you say workers, it simply means, now don't forget that we said trade unions are what? Organization of what? Professionals in the sense that they are also workers, so their intention is always what? To influence the decision of their employers, and as a result of that, their interest is being met. So the next one is securing facilities for members. It is the duty and responsibility of trade unions to ensure that workers that falls under the union works in a safety environment. So they ensure that safety facilities, safety equipment are given to workers, so that workers' life won't be, or workers' health won't be at risk. Then the next one is they organize workers to actively participate in issues or matters that affect them. Now, they organize workers, that is where the education is coming in, that is where sensitization is coming in. They organize workers to actively participate in issues or matters that affect them. So by doing this, they can also seek the interest of their members. By seeking the interest of their members, they can know what issue that affects them and how they can address the issue. Then the last part of this question, they said, outline any two weapons used by trade unions to achieve their objectives. Outline any two weapons used by trade unions to achieve their objectives. There are various weapons used by trade unions to achieve their objectives. One of them is, we have many of them. We have strike, we have protest, we have bargaining, and others. So now, for this particular slide, you will see that we see strike and we have protest. Now, when we talk about protest simply means that kind of rally they go out to express their grievances, to express their mind, to express their opinion. This doesn't end in riot. It is just a kind of rally to present or to tell people or to tell their workers, to tell their employers, to tell government what their intentions are. So that is called protest. It's one of those weapons used by trade unions to achieve their objectives. The next one is strike. Now, strike is more like the last resort of what they use. How? Because by the time they've gone through protest and now probably collective bargaining, then the next thing they think of when their demands are not being met is to go on strike. Now, from the picture you see ASU, and don't forget I mentioned to you that ASU is one of the examples of trade unions in Nigeria. So other weapons include collective bargaining, we have strike, we have protest, and you need to know that these are weapons used by ASU to express their opinion or to express their grievances whenever things go wrong. So we've succeeded in answering the first question, so let's go to the next question. Please make sure you are writing. Now, the next question, what are infant industries? Then state 4 reasons for protecting infant industries. Then state any ways industries can be financed in Africa, in West Africa. Any ways industry can be financed in West Africa. Alright, the next question is, what are infant industries? State any 4 reasons for protecting infant industries, and also state any ways industries can be financed in West Africa. So we are going to be doing this together. So I want you to know, from that word infant, what do you think it is? Infant, toddler, adult, old, and Just imagine that change there. When they say something is infant, you can say something is at early stage. So with that same understanding, you can now say infant industries are new industries in early stages of development. When a child is trying to walk, when a child is trying to crawl, that child is at the toddler, the infant stage. So the same thing applicable here. So infant industries are new industries in its early stages of development and in need of protection from predatory competition through tariff and non-tariff barriers until it is established. So you need to know that infant industries are those industries that are just coming up. You can call them mushroom industries. They are just still there, they are growing up, so they need every support from the government to grow. Now look at this. The infant industry theory states that new industries in developing countries need protection against competitive pressures until they mature and develop economies of scale which can rival their competitors. The infant industry argument is often cited as a rationale for protectionism and was developed by Alexander Hamilton and Friedrich List. So you need to check out Alexander Hamilton for further reading on the infant industry theory. But you need to know that infant industries are industries that are in their early stages of development and they need the protection from predatory competitions. So now, what an established industry will do, an infant industry will not be able to do it. So you need to understand that these industries, they need support from the government. So again, don't forget that infant industries are new industries in its early stages and of development and in need of protection from predatory competition through tariff and non-tariff barriers until it is established. Now the next question, state any 4 reasons for protecting infant industries. Now the first one is, one of the reasons to protect infant industries in order that the economy can become self-reliant. Now when we talk about infant industry, these industries are nowhere. These industries are within the country. For example, Nigeria, an infant industry in Nigeria needs support from the government. So now, by the time we have 20 infant industries in Nigeria that have the support of the government, let's say in the area of technology, in the area of education, so by the time these infant industries are growing, you will see that an economy becomes self-reliant and won't need to borrow money from other countries. So it makes the economy self-reliant when an industry is being protected, when an infant industry is being protected. Then the next one is to encourage domestic production. Now, in the past, Nigeria, we know rice have been produced in Thailand and every other countries but now in 2020 Nigeria is producing our own rice. Now when you look at it, it simply means that it won't give room for importing rice into Nigeria again, so Nigerians can produce their own homemade rice and eat their own homemade rice, and in return it encourages sales. Don't forget, now this buttresses the first point, that is the economy now becomes reliant in that particular area. So infant industry encourages domestic production, so it allows domestic production, like locally made rice in Nigeria are being produced in Nigeria. It can be eaten in Nigeria. Nigerians can eat it. So you see that there is encouragement of locally made goods. Then the next one, to encourage consumption of locally produced goods, which I have explained. So the second point and the third point go in sync with each other. So to conserve scarce foreign exchange, also infant industries help to conserve scarce foreign exchange. Then the next one is to create employment for citizens. Now when infant industries are being supported and citizens are allowed to grow their own industry from the scratch and they have the support of the government, what simply means is that the unemployment rate reduces from the 2-3 people employed from that particular industry, another industry being established. From those few number of people being employed, then it reduces the unemployment rate in the country. Then the next one is to develop the local market. It simply means, just like the example I gave for rice, it simply means that people no longer travel outside Nigeria to get rice. So the local market now has what huge number of patronage in Nigeria, because Nigeria is producing its own food, so its own rice. So these are most of the reasons, or these are few of the many reasons why infant industries need to be protected. Then the next one is state any 2 ways industries can be financed in West Africa. State 2 ways industries can be financed in West Africa. The following are the ways industry can be financed in West Africa. 1, through bank loan. 2, through personal savings. Then 3, through grants or aid from government or private body. However, it is not advisable that a business that is just starting takes a bank loan. But one of those ways of financing an industry in a particular industry in West Africa is through bank loan. It is advisable an industry look at bank loan as an option when they've already commenced their own operation. But when they are just starting, it is not advisable that any individual or any firm takes a bank loan to start a business, because of the interest rates they will have to pay, and there are unforeseen circumstances, because it's a new journey, it is a new industry journey or a business journey, that the uncertainties are yet to be known. So therefore, they are not advised to borrow loan to finance such business. Another way to finance in West Africa is through personal savings. If someone is considering going to a business, he can save up and start his own business and finance his own industry. Then the next one is grants or aid from government or private body. Private bodies, example in West Africa or in Africa, is Tony Elumelu Foundation. Foundations such as Tony Elumelu gives grants to budding entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that already have their business idea plan. After their application is being reviewed, then they can be given that finance to start that seed they call it seed capital, that seed capital to start that business. Then also grants or aid from government. Recently, the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, gave some grants to some businesses to scale up or to start their own business. So these are ways in which industries can be financed in West Africa. To the next question, what is balance of payment disequilibrium? Then explain the 2 types of balance of payment equilibrium. Then highlight 4 reasons most African countries experience balance of payment problems. So before we talk about balance of payment disequilibrium, now I want you to know that by now you should know that economics is divided into 2. That is micro and macroeconomics. Now the microeconomics talks about the household, while macroeconomics talk about the aggregate economy. Don't forget again, you can see this question in your objective question. Let me remind you again that microeconomics talks about a small entity, an household, an individual. Examples of microeconomics include supply, demand. You have supply, demand, consumer behavior, and less. But examples of macroeconomics include international trade, national income. Those things that affect the whole of the economy, these are categorized under macroeconomics. So this particular balance of payments is a topic under international trade or foreign trade. So now, before we discuss what balance of payment disequilibrium is, so we need to know what balance of payment is. So what is balance of payment? Now, balance of payment, also known as balance of international payment. Don't forget that I told you that balance of payment is a branch or is a topic or is a subtopic rather under international trade. Now, it summarizes all transactions that a country's individuals, companies, and government bodies complete with individuals, companies, and government bodies outside the country. So we can say now this is a details of transaction with the government of Nigeria as against the government or with the government of the UK or the American. So that is what balance of payment means. So this transaction consists of import, export of goods, services, capital, as well as transfer of payments such as foreign aid and remittances. So you need to note all these as the component of balance of payment. So if you are going to forget anything, don't forget that balance of payment is a topic under international trade, and also it is a payment, or it is a balance that summarizes all transactions that a country's individuals, companies, governments, bodies complete with individuals, companies, and government bodies outside the country. So don't forget that. Then the next one, now to the main question: what is balance of payment disequilibrium? This refers to a situation where the total receipt of a country export are not equal to the total payments on export, usually a year, or sometimes they call it usually a fiscal year. A fiscal year, fiscal as in FISCAL. Fiscal means simply a year, a fiscal year. Now, balance of payment disequilibrium again refers to a situation where the local receipts of a country exports are not equal to the total payments on what exports. Now, I know you can be a bit confused on total receipts. When they say total receipts, receipt simply means what is coming in, while payment means what is going out. Receipt simply means what is coming in, while payment means what is going out. So balance of payment disequilibrium refers to a situation where the total receipt of a country's exports are not equal to the total payments. This should be are not. So please kindly correct that when you are writing your notes. Are not equal to the total payments on export, usually yes. So this simply means that when what is coming in is more than what is going out. You get that now? Export. What's the meaning of export? Export simply means what you as a country you are taking to other countries, and import simply means what other countries are taking into your own country. So it simply means when what you are taking out as a country is not at par, or it's less than what is being paid to another. What is being paid, that is total payment on export. That means what you are paying on export. So that is what balance of payment disequilibrium means. So now the question is, explain two types of payment of equilibrium. Now, what is equilibrium in economics? Now, equilibrium is a point of tendency, like when something is equal. Tendency point is that tendency point when things are equal. So the following are the types of payment of equilibrium: while the balance of payment surplus and the balance of payment deficit. The balance of payment surplus and the balance of payment deficit. So we are going to consider the definition of these two. See, basically, when they ask you to explain two types, please don't just make the mistake of just listing. Make sure you explain them to get your full marks, because it is of no use if you are not getting your full mark. So make sure you explain so that you get your full mark. So now, balance of payment surplus. What is balance of payment surplus? Balance of payment surplus simply means country's export is more than import. Like that, in clear terms, that is what it means. Balance of payment surplus simply means the country exports is more than its import. So now you can also say balance of payment is when the total receipt of a country's export is greater than the total receipt on import. Now it simply means when a country's export is greater than the total payment on import. Don't forget, I said export is what you are taking out as a country, import is what is coming into your country. So that's why I say I am eating imported bread, I am eating imported biscuits. So export is what is going out, X going out, in coming inside. So now So you can say, apart from what you are seeing on this slide, you can also say, so I want you to write this down. You can also say balance of payment is when the total receipts from a country's export is greater. Now, the total receipt, that is what you get in as a result of taking your product to that country, is greater than total payment. That means at that point you are taking more goods out than you are buying from other countries. That is what balance of payment simply means. Then balance of payment deficit means the countries import more goods, services, capital than they export. Like, that is, they paid more for goods, they bought goods more than they export. So it must borrow from, so most of the times they borrow from other countries to pay for their imports. They borrow from other countries to pay from their imports. So you need to understand that this is what balance of payment means. So you need to also, that balance of payment, in other way we have defined balance of payment, we also need to know that balance of payment deficit simply means just the reverse definition of balance of payment surplus. The reverse definition of balance of payment surplus. So we can say balance of payment deficit is when the total receipts from a country's export is less than the total payment on import of that particular country. So that is the inverse definition. So by the time when you remember the definition of balance of payment surplus, you should be able to remember the balance of payment deficit. So once you remember the balance of payment surplus, it is the direct opposite of balance of payment deficit. So the next question says, highlight 4 reasons most African countries experience balance of payment problems. So the first one is fall in the value of domestic currency, or devaluation, which increases imports. Don't forget that when we're discussing balance of payment deficit, we said balance of payment deficit is when in a particular country their export is less than their import. So now, in the case of devaluation simply means when the currency of a particular country goes down in value. So that tends to be what? An increase in imports, and as a result of the increase in import, it becomes a problem in balance of payment. The next one is inflation, which increases the cost of production and make exports unattractive. What is inflation? Inflation simply means the persistent increase in price of goods and services over a particular period of time. So when there is inflation, there tends to be an increase in the cost of production. And when there is an increase in the cost of production, remember we said something about infant industries. People in that kind of sector will not be willing to produce, and when they are not willing to produce, it makes exports unattractive, or they find it not competitive enough, and as a result of that, it becomes a problem to the economy. The next one is over dependent on imported goods. When a nation depends on imported goods a lot, it tends to be a problem, because they need to borrow, and because they don't have that capacity to produce themselves and export to other countries and make money, it becomes a difficult thing to do. So it constitutes the balance of payment problem. The next one is poor infrastructural facility, which hinders production. Poor infrastructural facilities which hinders production, because when there are poor infrastructural facilities, there tends to be an hindrance in production, and as a result of that, producers are not encouraged to produce, and when producers are not encouraged to produce, there will not be a growth in domestic markets, and when domestic market doesn't grow, it becomes a problem, and that means there will be problem of exports. So this also contributes to the balance of payment problems in West Africa. The next one is excessive government expenditure on unproductive activities. This is very common, or this is common in West Africa. This is common in West African nations, where government expend more on unproductive activities. Somewhere in Nigeria, some years back, a particular governor had to erect a statue of a South African president. Now, economic wise, that is an unproductive activity, and that particular expenditure has been expended to an unproductive activity. Somewhere again, you see senators, you see most of the people buying stuff that doesn't contribute to the economic growth of a particular country. These and more are the problems that most West African countries encounter when it comes to balance of payment, and this becomes a problem to them. So we successfully dealt with question on trade union, question on infant industry, and now question on balance of payment. So in the follow-up class, we are going to be doing the two other questions, then we do our assignment. So if in case you have questions, please kindly drop your questions, then we do them. So thank you for coming to class. Till I come your way again, I remain Emmanuel Tobiloba from Impact Point Academy.